Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching PETV Reacts, where I go over all the movies and television reviews. Listen, as you all are entering, please make sure that you all are hitting that like button. And if you like what you see, please make sure that you subscribe. I'm trying to, do I need to move my light like this? See if that'll help. That looks. And if you like what you see, please, here are my two channels. Please go ahead and subscribe to these two channels. Y'all, we have reached the final countdown. We have reached the season finale of Paradise season 2. Y'all, this gave us a lot. We lost some people, but we also have questions. And these questions have not been answered for us. Hold on, hold on, hold on. And as you see my thumbnail, you will see the question that I asked: where is Jane? Where is Jane? We gonna figure out where Jane is. Well, we might not ever figure out where Jane is. But most definitely, we are going to give it a good old try. You hear me? All right. Let me just get to where I need to get to real quick, like. All right, here we go. There's a lot going on. There was a lot going on. Now, we know at the end of the last episode, you know that Gabby and Jane were fighting, and Gabby got the best of Jane and ended up shanking her in the ended up shanking her in the shower. So Jane has been lying lifeless in the shower. So, as this episode opened, let me also share my screen. I snapped some pics. So, I go over the pictures. I think this is it. Nope. Must be this one. Nope. Oh. All right. So, sorry, y'all. It's just so much going on. There. All right. So we open up with we open the episode up with Henry, who is a professor. You remember he is that professor that Sinatra was looking to get the quantum computer so that she could have this quantum computer so that she could help power Paradise. All right. Things are moving slow over here. I've got one computer, one screen. We're going to keep going. So in the process of him going teaching his class, because you remember he said in the last episodes that he taught his class, and the brightest person in his class wasn't old enough to be in the class. So this is Dylan. You remember Dylan was underage at that time, because you remember when he met Annie, he was 25 years old. So during this time, he was not that old. And so he goes into the classroom. He's talking with the professor. You know, the professor's a little frustrated because no one in the class really understands what's going on. And then Dylan pops up and says, "Hey, look, why don't you just build what you have? Why don't you build it?" And the professor is like, "Well, it takes a lot of time. We're still trying to do something." And then Dylan comes up to the front of the class with his little computer thing and everything like that. Baby, Henry looked at that thing and was like, Class dismissed. He was like, we shutting this class down. Dylan tells him about this AI and he tells him all these little different things. Henry takes him home. And as you remember during that episode, I believe it was episode 4, you remember that, wait a minute, we're going to have to change mics, y'all. You remember during episode 4, you remember during episode 4, we got, before Henry was pruned from the timeline, he talked about the fact that, he talked about the fact that where am I? I lost my place. I apologize, y'all. I hadn't had no coffee today, so I am just sitting here just winging it. Uh, you remember when right before Henry was pruned from the timeline, he was asking, did the guy that pruned him from the timeline, did he believe that it was fate? Did he believe that this was coincidence? Did he believe any of those things? And that is what Alex does. Alex is an AI computer. She was designed to do predictions, but Sinatra wanted Alex to predict weather patterns, and so that they could stop the weather patterns before they started, or they could at least manage them before they started. So now we see that Henry and Dylan are working on this computer. He's worked on this computer. Remember, Sinatra took the computer, and the computer is now what we find out, and I'm going to be kind of skipping, but the computer is what we find is now in the bunker, where I thought, because I couldn't understand why it was taking so long for Sinatra to get from Alex back to the thing, but we find out that Alex is housed not right up under the bunker. Alex is housed 100 miles away at the Denver airport. And so that's why it took so long for her to travel down to get to Alex and stuff like that, because she literally had to travel 100 miles, which on the power that she was going probably took her quite a few hours. So they became business partners. Him and Dylan, they were fixing on the computer. Remember, Sinatra came with her scientists. They offered Henry a blank check for his company to develop this. He was developing it, and then Henry got concerned. Henry was concerned because of the fact that Alex was predicting and thinking and solving things, almost like Alex is sentient. And the way he's described it to Sinatra, he was like, we got to shut it down. We got to shut it down. We can no longer use it. We've got to shut it down. And she's like, why would we need to shut it down? And he was like, you're not understanding. There is an issue going on with the computer. Sinatra was like, well, what's the problem? He said, well, the computer solved the problem. Well, what's the problem with the computer solving the problem? Henry said, and I quote, it solved a problem that we didn't even ask yet. We all should be scared. We all should be scared. You hear me? We all should be scared. How is a computer answering questions to things that we hadn't even decided to ask it yet? We all should be scared. We all should be scared. We all should be scared. So we find out a couple of things in regards to Dylan. We still don't know where Dylan came from, because when we were introduced to Dylan, he is in the professor's class. And here's the thing that was interesting, and here's the thing that solves that his student ID, because you remember he had the student ID and there was no writing, there was nothing on the student ID. Well, that is because Dylan was auditing classes. Now, they still would put the name, but honestly, he was just there temporarily. He actually wasn't an enrolled student. He was just auditing classes. And I think that there's just a different way that they would do that. He still has to pay for it, though. How did he pay for it? And when Sinatra gave that blank check, how much do you think Henry wrote down there to complete all of this? That's what's interesting to me. I'm also curious. I asked myself a couple of questions to ask you all as the audience. Alex solving the equations that weren't being asked. What does Alex know? Is Alex messing because he said that the computer is manipulating time? How is Alex manipulating time? Is this the reason why we see Xavier and Sinatra and Dylan phase in and out? You know, like when they sleep or if they're doing something, they're phasing in and out. How is Alex doing that? Is Alex a computer that's in the future and teaching the people in the future how to do this? This got real fascinating real quick. If those types of things interest you. So then we get to the present day. So this was a flashback. That was a flashback. I'm sorry. So we get to the present day. Sinatra, we saw Sinatra come in and say, "Hello, Alex." She comes in. The the science officer, the guy that's standing right next to Sinatra, right up in here, this man right here, he's standing next to Sinatra. She goes in, she visits Alex. The guy tells her that Alex is trying to communicate with them. He tells Sinatra that the scientist tells Sinatra that Alex has predicted a couple of things, like they predicted the earthquake up above. She predicted the thunderstorms above, and also predicted Sinatra coming down to the bunker where Alex is at. And the scientist says, handed Sinatra this card, and she says, because she fixed this card up for you when you came in. And there's another thing that she's predicted as well. And I'm saying Alex as a she because Alex was named after Henry's wife. So if I know that Alex is a supercomputer. And there was this card. And he also said if Alex's predictions are correct, Sinatra is not going to live past the end of the day. So that foreshadowed to me that paradise is about to come to an end. Paradise is about to come to an end. Paradise is about to come to an end. So, couple of questions that I asked. I wonder what else Alex has predicted. Do you think Alex predicted Annie that Dylan was going to meet up with Annie and have the baby? Was there a prediction on that? How is Alex manipulating time for Dylan and Xavier? That is interesting to me. So Alex and Xavier are on the train for the full train ride, and they arrive at the staging point before I guess the people have to go into the bunker. Xavier said that he was going to get the kids, and Terry says, "You're not going to go get them kids, not without me. I don't come this too far not to see these kids, and I will not allow for you to keep me from seeing the children." Let me do this real quick. I'm just closing up some stuff to free up. All right. So Terry tells Xavier that she wants to go in, she wants to go see the kids, and so he was like, "Cool." So there was a front line, and this is Xavier phasing in and out. There is this front caravan that's going. Terry and Xavier get on that front caravan. They get to the bunker. Meanwhile, in the bunker, it's all kinds of confusions and stuff going on because the Gabby is in there. Sinatra is nowhere to be found. Gabby is there. No one wants to make the decision because remember when Cal predicted that all these things were going to happen at the same time? That's exactly what's happening. You've got the kids who are trying to open the bunker doors. You have the council who's trying to close the bunker doors and to break and shut the thing down. Now you have the reactor melting because they have popped the oxygen thing. It's all kinds of things happening, and that system was never designed to handle multiple problems at the same time. And so inevitably what's happening is that the nuclear reactors are about to blow. And so Gabby is having to try to make decisions with the people who are outside, who are trying to come in. These people are blowing up the cameras so that Gabby and them cannot see what's going on the outside. You can see the little screen. They blew up all the little screens. You got the middle screen talking about the reactors and how the reactor is not working right. Everything is going down. Somebody mentions Exodus, and Exodus means that everybody has to leave the bunker. First, Gabby doesn't want to call that because she's like, wait a minute, let's see if we can do these things. Let's open the bunker doors. And maybe that'll give some relief to the reactors about as far as power. Everyone's like, no, because if we keep the bunker doors open, we're gonna let the people in. And she's like, let them in, let it blow, whatever. At this point, we got to try to do everything that we can to save paradise. We can deal with those people later. So they open the bunker doors, they come in, Xavier and them come in, and Xavier gets to where takes Terry to where the kids are at, where the kids are supposed to be. Because you remember, Presley and what's her name? Hayden? I think her name is Hayden, are stuck in the elevator. And poor little James, he's just out and about by himself. He don't know what to do. So the people come in and then they find out that the reactor core breaks down. Now, while that reactor, well, that's not what happened. I'm sorry. While all of that is happening, simultaneously in the coolant room where Robinson, the guy who built Paradise, and Jeremy are at, the coolant system blows up. And so now with there's nothing to cool down the reactors, Paradise was like, you know what? This is not it. So Gabby has to make the call, and Gabby makes the call to shut down. She makes the call for Exodus. Gabby makes the call for Exodus. And so now there is this mass evacuation going on. The council members are like, no, we don't want to do that. And she's like, I'll take responsibility for all that's happening. Now, what's funny about this and in this particular scene, we have the people who are working on the computers. Well, they notice that Gabby has blood on her. And they ask her, was she okay? And she's still working and she's still trying to be the boss. Because remember, this world that has been curated is what Gabby wants. Gabby always wants to be the person that has all the information, but she's always a day late and an hour short. She always wants to show that she can make the tough decisions if necessary, and she wants to be that person to throw it in your face that she's made the tough decisions. But baby, she doesn't get the reactions that she thinks that she is going to get. So, meanwhile, with all of this going on, Sinatra returns back to the bunker. When she returns back to the bunker, her Secret Service agent is telling her, "Listen, these are the things that are going on. We're in Exodus. We're in meltdown. Yada 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 yada." So she's like calm as a cucumber because at this point, I think Sinatra has realized that this is going to be her final day. She's accepted that. She has come to peace with it. She's fine with that. When the coolant tower exploded, the guy that created Paradise, he died. And Robinson has a kind of injury, some injury in her stomach. I guess from the shrapnel. And Jeremy has a little limp, but he's fine. They're trying to escape. Robinson believes like she's slowing Jeremy down. She tells Jeremy to leave. Jeremy's like, I'm not leaving without you. She pulls a gun on him and told him, I'm not going to let you die here. Your father wouldn't want that. You got to go. So he goes back. He's running back. He leaves. And here we have poor little old James. He's just running around here. His daddy gone, his sister gone. He ain't got really nobody. He just looks a little flustered running around here. He don't have nobody. So just to catch us up, Xavier and Terry go to the home, everything, and Terry is like looking around real fascinated. She's like, oh my gosh, you all have a son? Oh my gosh, you got a river? Oh my, because she's looking around paradise. Oh my gosh, you have all of this. So we finally get to the house. They get to the house, and she is realizing and she's lamenting of the stuff that she's kind of lost. She was over in Atlanta because remember, Xavier asked her to stay. She made the decision to go to Atlanta. And I think that she was upset about that decision because it cost her 3 years of her family's life. Because, again, the world didn't know what the world didn't know, but Xavier knew, and he couldn't convince her to stay, and she wasn't going to stay. She was going to do this. So, decisions we make decisions all the time. It's not a thing to badmouth or blame, but you can kind of tell in her face that she was regretting that decision to go to Atlanta. She sees where James is now like 5'3". He's grown. He's about 5'3". They go outside. They end up finding James, and it was a wonderful reunion because that baby needed somebody. That baby ain't have nobody there. Nobody there. So he was able to find his mom. They were able to hug it out. Everything looked good. Everything was peachy. I was excited about that. And I was happy for that because I think that in the end, they all had gone through a hell of a lot. They had gone through a hell of a lot. So I was glad that they were able to do it. James told Xavier that, hey, he told Xavier that his sister is stuck in an elevator. He doesn't know what elevator because the system had gone down. So Xavier tells Terry, take James and get out. And she's like, well, no. He's like, listen, it was a miracle that I was able to get to you. I'm going to get Presley, and we're going to come back. Okay. And this is what's interesting. And I just caught this. I caught this today watching Paradise, and I was like, the people who wrote Paradise, they must love them some Elvis Presley. Because Terry liked Elvis Presley, is hence the reason why Presley is named Presley. Annie, she knew a lot about Elvis Presley because her mother was an Elvis Presley fan. Keep following me. And what was it? It was something else that made me think these people really, truly love Elvis Presley. And then all the stuff that happened in and around Graceland. So that was telling me that one of these writers, they seriously love themselves some Elvis Presley. But anyway, let's get it all things. So let's go back to Robinson. Robinson thought her days were about to end. She was going to just die there in Paradise. But Jeremy went and got the other Secret Service people, and they came back and they got Robinson. So Robinson is saved. Xavier makes it to the tower where Sinatra is. He says, she says that she's happy to see him come back. And he said, I don't know why. Because you thought you tried to kill my daughter, have my daughter killed, and all this other stuff. Baby, he tells Sinatra, I need to find my daughter. She's stuck in the elevator in this particular place. They look through there, and Sinatra is shocked as chicken crap. Because her daughter, I think her daughter is named Hayden or Hadley. Her daughter is stuck there as well. So she goes with Xavier to go help the children. They end up going to help the children. They get there. They open the elevator. It's a whole lot of rigmarole, but ultimately what happens is Dylan and his crew comes to help save them and get the girls out. Also, prior to that, Dylan's crew they were trying to find Alex, but they thought that they needed to help kind of shut down the cooler so that people can have abilities to be able to escape. Plus, they wanted more time to find Alex, but they didn't know, and we didn't know till later, that Alex is not even in the bunker. Anyway, everyone's getting evacuated. Right before the evacuation happens, Sinatra says, well, this bunker was built to withstand a nuclear blast. So if the nuclear blast happened outside and the bunker doors were closed and it would withstand, surely that within the bunker, if you close the blast doors, it will contain the nuclear fallout. So someone had to be in the bunker to initiate the lockdown. And that means that person wasn't going to get out. She tells Xavier that. They stand behind the door. She's telling Xavier something. We don't hear what she's saying. She goes in. She tells him, look, go ahead and leave now because I'm going to initiate the countdown. So she gives him enough time to get up, run, and run out. He's running. He's going to run out. She initiates the countdown. Everything, the bunker door is closed. She walks around Paradise. She sees her son. She grabs his hand, and then kablooey, it blows up. So Sinatra has gone. The eagle has left the building. So there is just these happy reunions. Also, I meant to talk about the fact that during all of this, you see the phasing in and out of Dylan and Xavier, and that is quite prevalent when they are rescuing the girls. Both Dylan and Xavier's nose starts to bleed, and they're just like phasing and all this other stuff. But Xavier recognizes Dylan, and he tells him about Annie, and he gives him his ID card, and he was like, "Where's Annie? I need to see." He says Annie died, and he's like, "How did she die? What happened to Annie?" He said she died having your baby. And Sinatra's eyes just roll because, again, she's already told Dylan that she believes that he's her son. And she says, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I do believe that you are my son. And her eyes got big like, oh my. Not only is my daughter going to survive, and not only is my son going to survive, I have a grandbaby. She kind of went out with a little solace knowing that her people were going to be okay. So as we're going through Paradise, you're having that last look of Paradise. We go through all the different places in Paradise, and we end up looking through. You remember Gabby had shanked Jane in the shower. We panned Gabby's shower, and Jane is nowhere to be found. Where the hell is Jane? Where the hell is Jane? Because you remember what Jane said. Jane says, I am a weapon that needs an owner. So where is Jane gone? Has Jane gotten out? Did Jane go down there where Alex is at? Where is Jane? We'll find out next season. Paradise has been, I think it's been renewed for 2 more seasons, which is wonderful. So let's get to the little itchy bit stuff, and then we'll go ahead and try to wrap this up. So now that all the occupants of Paradise are out in the real world, what's going to happen? So Gabby is out. Gabby realizes that Xavier is back. So she sachets over to Xavier. I guess thought she was gonna get. I guess she thought she was gonna get her some itchy ya. No ma'am, no Pam. He introduces Gabby to Terry, and he introduces Terry to Gabby as his therapist. And baby, you saw her eyes, so you know Gabby is about to wreak havoc in hell, because see, she no longer has the ability to be the top people up there, because now the people who survived the blast on the outside and the people who survived the blast on the inside, now they have to convene. Now, where they're going to go, how they're going to convene, I don't know, because they're gonna have to build a community somewhere. So we'll probably see that. And I hope that we see that, because like I said, we came to paradise. Paradise was artificial. It was already made. People were living there, and we did see that they were able to live cohesively as a community of 25,000. Now we need to see how that 25,000 plus the 10,000, so that's 35,000 people, how they're going to live as they're trying to rebuild society. And we also know that if these people have survived, other people have survived. So that's going to be interesting. Remember, I talked about that conversation that Sinatra and Xavier had out in the hallway? Well, it ended up Sinatra gave Xavier that card, because I had an opportunity, and I wish I had taken a photo of it, to look at the card. And the card said X, and it had all of these things, that there was these codes that you're supposed to do. And so she realized that X was Xavier, because that was his code name, X. And so she realizes that it's going to be Xavier's job, I guess, to shut down Alex, or to do something, or protect Alex at all costs, whatever it is, because she doesn't want Dylan to find Alex to shut Alex down. She wants Alex to be around so that there will be decisions and things like that made. So I don't know. But what are y'all thinking? What are you all thinking about this show? I thought this season, to me, moved quite quickly. I do love the fact that we were able to learn about certain people. Now, Gary is not dead, so that tells me that Gary might have a place. That's telling me that Gary might have a place in the new paradise. I don't know what they're going to call it. He might have a place in the new paradise, but Gary is not deceased. So all of these people are not deceased. Dylan has a responsibility now, because he has a baby, and he ended up naming the baby Annie, because you remember it was just Annie's baby, but he ended up naming his baby, and the baby is now named Annie, which is going to be interesting to me. So what did y'all think about this season? I'll tell you, as you know, for me, I was glad to see that people survived outside the bunker. I was glad that we were introduced to a lot of people. I think we're going to be reintroduced to a lot of people. I personally think in season 3, we're going to be reintroduced to the children, because you remember the children are just running around like little nomads. I think that we're going to be reintroduced to the children. I think we're going to be reintroduced to Gary. Somehow, some way, we're going to get back to Gary somehow. I think that the group in Atlanta, there's going to be a way that everybody's going to communicate with each other. I think with the lessons and things learned in the bunker, I think we're going to find ways to communicate with each other. What else? I'm still curious about, where did Jane go? Because Jane survived the knife attack. Where did Jane go? Who helped Jane out of the bathroom? And what kind of havoc is Jane going to wreak, since she is a weapon with no owner? Because Sinatra was her owner. She no longer has an owner. I wonder who she's going to work for, because remember, she is a weapon that she works for women. So I'm curious to know who she's going to work for. I am curious to know who Dylan is. Is Dylan Sinatra's son? How did Dylan get to where he was? What's going on with the phasing? With him phasing in and out and things like that. What is going on with that? We truly need to know a lot of this stuff. But I'm excited. I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed this season. I enjoyed that they got us out of paradise, but still showed us all the stuff that was going on in paradise. To me, this season, paradise seemed like the artificial place, and the outside the bunker seemed very, very real. You got to see how pockets of people were banding together to help each other out. You got to see all of that. I hope we see that in a bigger scale in season 3. But overall, I enjoyed this season. I really, truly enjoyed this season. I was sick that Annie died. I thought Annie was going to make it to the bunker and maybe be the calming force for Dylan, but that didn't happen. I thought that Gary was going to get his comeuppance, and I thought that they was going to prune him from the timeline. But I guess the better fate was for him to be alone, to go back to what you came for. You didn't appreciate what you had when you had it. So now the best thing for you to do is to be alone. What do y'all think? I'm sorry, but I enjoyed this. Paradise is one of my new favorite shows. I hope they get all 5 seasons so they can have 100 episodes so we can see them in syndication. Because I am loving. Well, I guess we don't really have to, because whether they get whatever seasons they got, they're on Hulu. So if you got Hulu, you go see it. But anyway, that is my recap of the season finale of Paradise. I am still watching Monarch, and when I finish this, I'm gonna watch the 2 or 3 episodes that I missed, and we'll be caught up for Monarch for Friday, I guess it is. I don't know what's going on with P-Valley, because I was assuming that P-Valley would have started by now, but I haven't seen no hide, no hair, no nothing of P-Valley. I know that they've finished their finished filming, from what I understand. I just don't understand why it hasn't come out. And it's to the point now they need to hurry up, because I am losing interest because it's been almost 3 years. What 2023? I think the last thing we saw was 2023, the end of 2022. So come on now. They need to figure that out. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, where is Jane? And what kind of havoc is she going to wreak on Paradise for the next season? Y'all put what y'all think down below in the comments. All right, people, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.